Hello and welcome back to Northwestern Models, and today I'm going to show you how to build the P&D Marsh 00 gauge ice cream cart kit. So let's get started. Right then, first things first, let's crack open the box and see what we've got. There's no instructions, so hopefully it'll be a fairly simple build. Let's have a look at what parts we've got, because there's quite a few in here by the looks of things. So we've got an umbrella top, there's a brass rod, one wheel, pair of wheels, a couple of figures, so someone holding an ice cream and the ice cream man himself. We've got two sides for the cart and a lid, and what must be on this sprue is the two end pieces for the cart as well. So what I'm going to need to do first of all is clean and tidy up a number of these parts so to get rid of the flash, and then we can see about actually getting it all together. Okay then, so I've got all the parts all cleaned up now, and the two figures I'm just going to leave to one side because all they're going to need is a coat of paint once everything's all assembled. So they don't need, they don't have anything else attached to them, so we can just put those to one side for painting at a later date. So what we're going to start doing now is building up the actual cart, and there's 5 main parts to it plus the wheel set for it. So what I'm going to do is build up using one of the sides first, because the sides have a little bit of a framework on it to sort of help locate the other parts. So I'm going to use that to build up what would essentially be the top and the front and the back, and then we'll put the other side on afterwards. So the glue I'm going to use is the Deluxe Materials Rocket Rapid. I use it for most white metal kits. Of course, if you are capable of soldering, then obviously by all means you can solder these parts together. So the important thing to remember is that you get the width of the parts the right way round. So with the front and rear pieces, line them up to see how best they fit against the top piece, because they are not square, they are slightly different, so make sure you get them the right way around. So I'm going to start with an end piece, and a little bit of glue. We don't want a lot of glue on there, a little bit of glue, and just stick it in place. And hope that it doesn't fall over like that did. So let's just grab me tweezers and try again. This may take a little while to do, but just essentially work your way around it. And just let the glue go off in its own time. Putting the other side on. And again, just holding it just to let it settle. until the glue goes off a bit. It is a little bit fiddly, but I have a feeling that once we get this top centrepiece in, it'll all come together quite nicely, because then we can hold the sides up to it. Of course, once it's in place, we just hold the edges in. Hopefully it'll start thinking about staying together. At least with the Rocket Rapid, it does stick fairly quickly, so although there isn't much playtime, there is enough to just do what you need to do. So add quick bit of glue on there while we add the other side. And quick to get it into place and together. So essentially you built up a box. Which obviously forms the main part of the ice cream cart. As I said, it is a little bit fiddly, but if you take your time with it, you should be okay. So the next part we're going to have a quick look at is going to be fitting the wheels to it with the axle. Now the axle also it needs to be cut because it also forms part of the umbrella stand as well. So my plan with this is to fix one of the wheels in place on the cart. There is a little cutout so you can see where they need to go. Put the axle in, thread the other wheel on, and glue all that in place, and then I'll cut the axle once everything's all glued and tied in place and we know it's the right kind of length and that it's all good, that it's all secure on the cart. So let's turn that over. Doesn't really matter which side you start with. Just take your time with it. And then just very carefully line up the hole in the wheel, in the centre of the wheel, with the gap on the cart. Okay. Just leave it to dry. Because what this will do, by doing it this way, is it allows the it'll give a bit of strength to the wheels as well, because obviously they're quite thin, and it just helps avoid any sort of damage that may occur to them. by sticking them to the side of the cart as well. So yeah, so that's the wheel on there. So now, to help line it all up, I'm going to put the rod in for the axle, and I'm going to put some glue on that first. So yeah, so I'll glue where the axle goes. And then put the axle in place. Like I said, this will just help keep everything in line. Wow. Right, and now we can add a little bit of glue on the top side just to hold the other wheel in place. That should just thread down the axle and then just hold it in place till the glue dries. And that is a really simple and easy way to get these types of little axles on, because it's just so small and fiddly to do. Yeah, I've found over the years that when I've done that, it's made life a lot easier. So hopefully you can see that now, that we've got obviously the axle coming through, which I'm going to trim back, the two wheels on there, and it's all together. So I'll let the glue go off, and then I'll cut that back and we'll be able to look at the next bit. Right, so I've just cut the axle off, which will form the umbrella stand. So now, hopefully as you can see there, we've got a nice little cart all made up, ready to sell our ice creams. It looks really nice and simple. So now on to the final bit, which is the umbrella. So obviously using the axle, or the remains of the axle, there should be a tiny hole in the centre of the umbrella. So if I just push the thing through, hopefully be able to see that coming through there in the middle. So again, all I'm going to do is just glue that in the middle, and then we'll be able to look at gluing it to the cart. And again, this is probably going to be a little bit fiddly, as seems to have been with pretty much everything on this build, but that's okay. Through a bit. What you want to try and do is, if possible, try and keep it as straight as you can, the pole for the top, just while the glue goes off. I mean, it doesn't matter if it's at a bit of an angle, but we don't want it massively at an angle. We want it to be fairly straight. Yeah, it might just be a case of just waiting for the glue to dry off a tad. Which I think it's starting to do now. So while that does go off a bit, where does it go on the cart? Well, on the cart we have this little lid here, and just next to that there is actually a tiny little hole which you probably just might or might not be able to see there, but that is where it goes, the umbrella stand goes through, and then we can glue it on the underside at the right height that we want to. So if that's dried, which it has, we can now look to do that. So there we go, so that's in there. Now I've pushed that right through to the ground. Again, it's more to just give it something to hold on to more than anything, but it's there. So that is the cart all together with the umbrella on, ready to go. So obviously we can add our ice cream seller to the side of it, and our person with their ice cream as well, which goes together. So that's basically the kit done. So there we are, that's how to put together that wonderful little ice cream cart kit. It's gone together really well. It's a nice simple little kit, and obviously all that it requires now is a bit of paint, to brighten it all up, and obviously paint the figures and put it together as a nice little scene on the layout. So, but for me, this will be made into a little diorama, so it'll just go onto a small piece of plastic card with the two figures next to it, all painted up for display purposes. But yeah, lovely little kit from P&D. So anyway, if you have enjoyed this video, which I hope you have, don't forget to give us a good thumbs up. Also do make sure that you hit the subscribe button as well, because that really does help us out quite a bit. So until next time, happy modelling.